Yes, yes, yes. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So yes, it's Richie Rich, Rich Man Z, the richest man on earth, the one who has the skills to pay the bills to catch the splash back yet again, And honestly, I just checked my schedule, and this Sunday I found out I wasn't doing shit, So I was thinking, you know what? Just with like all this free time, and not like having to like edit videos, it'd be nice to just do like a stream, just to talk about like, just a bit of backstory of like, how I am in the position I am now, So if you don't know by now, at least like a year from now. So this past week, Tuesday would have been a year since I've been in Mexico, and more importantly, Mexico City. And from that time to like this position where I'm now, it's like I've had to do like a lot of growing. I gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and it's like one of like the early like first times I really stepped outside my comfort zone and took the chance to not only live abroad, because I did live in Canada, but it's like I made sure I lived in a place where the native language wasn't English, so it's like I had to come in and it's like learn the language of Spanish, so I was thinking, especially now being a year, and it's like finally feeling like, this is where I am in Mexico, it's my home. I was figuring that, like, man, I can at least kind of talk to people who, are in that kind of position, are like, lost in life, they don't know where their, next, journey is, and they kind of stuck as I was, a couple years back, and just gonna talk as well you can how you can like make money online, once you decide to like move abroad, whether it be to, the Latin American countries, or even to possibly Asia, Africa, wherever you want to go, what you can do to kind of support yourself on that mission, So, as again, I'll go back to my backstory. When I did move to Mexico last year, it wasn't something that was like it was planned way before. At the time, I was like bouncing from Canada and United Kingdom, and where I was like in life, this is like completely legit. I was someone who, with people around me, they always saying to me like, you had potential, you could be this, and I was never achieving. I mentioned this on one of my last videos. I talked about like being in that pipe dream central of thinking like, yeah, man, if I could only do this, like I can, I could picture myself doing this, but I would never ever have that kind of like, that extra kind of push to go through. So I was always dreaming of seeing like, the beaches of Mexico, drinking like the tequilas in Cancun, or seeing like the magnificent pyramids and all the landscapes, in Mexico. But it was just dream, 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 but never actually putting in what was necessary to, to achieve that dream. So when this like huge shit happened in 2020, when the whole world got like turned over, and it's like we were now changed from like being outside interacting with people, and being social. It was now coming into like, okay, you're now inside, you're locked in, and you now got to figure a way how to make, support yourself, and that, when the I don't want to say because of the algorithm and that, but when that shit happened in 2020, I was still working in my old jobs. I was still working in the gym. Same time that shit happened, I remember, never forget this day, the gym closed. So where I was working in the gym teaching classes, like this is even one of my cards, and you can see it. This is one of my cards, like where I was working, like at the gyms. This is back in Canada. They got shut down. So a lot of their personal trainers, gym instructors, they lost their jobs, and most of them, what they did is from there they converted onto online. So they start teaching their clients, on like just the Zoom. Sometimes they would have more than one, clients, and teach them as a group. So at the time I didn't really know about this. What I mean? It's like I was on YouTube before. I wasn't really taking it seriously. Had my Facebook account. had like other kind of platforms that it's like was set up, but it wasn't something I could really monetize. Until I started to see that like other people who were in that same gym as me, who lost their job, same position as me, and were starting to make online. That's when like it started to switch in my mind. It's like, man, you can actually really do this. So that same time in the summer of that year, I will never forget, 2020. I was in that zone of like seeing like basically everything that you get used to, like getting taught in school, getting a career, getting married to someone you don't particularly like, all these things that they taught you in school, and just like thing was just all bullshit. And it was actually one of those times in 2020 I actually had the chance to kind of think for myself. One of the first things I did, and this is like thing, all right, so if we go like on number one tips, like even not just even making money online, but also making that step to living abroad. This is the most important fundamental thing. If you've got like a pencil, you got a pen, write this down, because Richie Rich is gonna preach. Main thing you gotta do: cut off these toxic motherfucking people. I was someone, I was stuck. I was in that jar, of surrounded by toxic people who were not adding any value to this world, who were sitting there and just criticizing people. The ones you see like on YouTube or Netflix, they were sitting there criticizing them people, and they weren't actually giving kind of any reason why they were criticizing people. I had one dude I was hanging around. This is like, if you see my videos before, I've always talked about the 30-year-old man. This guy was 30 years old, beard, he had an ugly wife, and he was there comfortable. He wasn't like awareness in that. Anytime you spoke to him, he was like, oh, the Hodge twins, I hate them. Oh, Steph is cold. He's lame. Oh, what's his name? Alpha Male Strategies. He sucks. Every time, always pessimistic. What it dawned on to me once I finally removed myself from that pigeon piece of trash, it was like he was so sad, and he knew that his life sucked. He was so like in a place that he didn't really like himself. He had to always put other people down. Those people who first thing they wake up in the mirror before they open like the Colgate toothpaste and about to brush their teeth, they look in the mirror and like, oh man, I'm still this guy. You know what I mean? And it sucks. You know what I mean? So anyone, and the worst thing was when I was around this guy, I was really cool with his brother, but I was around him, you know, anytime he would say something or just being around with him, it would actually put me down. I don't know if I felt like I was a negative person as well, but he was so like he wasn't instead of talking about like how to make ideas and solutions, he was always just talking about like how things are going wrong. Yes, the 2020 was bad. A lot of people, lost, caught the, what it was, that disease, and a lot of people, it actually went worse, it went further. But like where I was looking at, I was trying to look at the optimistic side. I still have my limbs here, I'm still healthy, I still have the, I still can make something, where this person was like negative central, so that was one of the first things I did without question. I didn't even say like, oh, I'm going. I just left. I zoomed out. If you got like Goku's instant transmission, I zapped away. After time, after like weeks after, it's like I started to be able to brainstorm. This was something you can never do when you're with toxic people, around you. You can't brainstorm, you can't like, say like, okay, I'm gonna do this, maybe plan and prepare for what you're ultimately gonna do. You won't be able to do that stuck in a toxic environment. So once I got away from him, and like a few others and that, it's like I was able to start to brainstorm, and I was like, what, I was in United Kingdom at the time, just coming back from Canada, and I was just like, man, what I really need to do to really go on to like the next level, like this whole like leveling up culture, is I need to take one of the biggest risks I could ever take. There is no reward if you don't take a risk. So I was thinking like this was more closer to the time when I left in March to come where I am now in Mexico. I said it would be so cool to like, go here. It was either like Mexico or Colombia. I was gonna go, and I decided to come Mexico, and from there I haven't regretted it once, ever since I came here, but that's tip number one. Forget about like definitely I'm going to talk about, planning and definitely setting up account. But the first fundamental is this is not even just for like living abroad or making money online, just for dreams, because there is a very short window. I'm in my 30s now, early 30s now. It gets to a point for some people that the whole dream of what they want to achieve, in the short time we have on this planet, the window can start to close, especially for me at one point of taking like so much BS for so much years. I could see that window slowly, slowly, slowly starting to close. And I was like, if I don't make this jump now, I'm gonna be that dude at 50 odd years old something regretting my life. And I said, like, no, 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 no way, Jose. Richie Rich ain't going out like that. You know what I mean? I've got to do this. I don't even know what the unknown is, but I'm gonna give it a go. And that's where you see me in this motherfucking position now. So definitely, tip number one, definitely cut off toxic friends. They can be fucking family members as well. You gotta cut them off. Those same ones who say like, well, oh, how are you gonna make YouTube videos? You've never done it. Oh, you can't go become a personal trainer. You can't, go live in Mexico and that. You gotta erase them, just like the bottom of the pencil. Erase those scumbags straight away. You find out the ones who are really closer to you, they don't want you to sometimes get ahead of them. They can recognize the potential. This is one thing I understood now. They can recognize when you're like, deemed for success. You're destined for greatness. But they're going to cut you down. They're going to sabotage you because they don't want you to get ahead of them. So you got to do that. So that's definitely the first tip. The second thing, as it was for me when I came in Mexico, definitely one of the earliest difficulties was the language barrier. No habla español. I did not speak a lick. When I mean, I did not speak a lick of Spanish. So, especially if, for coming like to a Latin American country, whether it be Spanish, whether it be Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, all of them, in my opinion and my advice is definitely invest in some Spanish, classes. It's definitely, for me at least, I was watching a lot of like YouTube tutorials of, speaking Spanish, when I first got here. Then after like, meeting my, girlfriend who's originally from Mexico City, it's like I invested in some Spanish classes. So that actually really helped with like learning how to structure, the Spanish, especially speaking, and also knowing like the verbs, the adjectives, the nouns, and more importantly, even the expressions that they use here. So if you are definitely looking, especially to stay long term, because I'm a year now, and it's like I honestly consider like me being here, this is like my definitely like my second home, after Sierra Leone. You are really only gonna get in, you're really only going to get out what you put into it. You know what I mean? So at least if you're with a Spanish tutor like 2 to 3 times a week, or you're just like taking like Spanish kind of exercises, even watching them on Netflix, your favorite shows, like, possibly like, let's say Stranger Things, How I Met Your Mother. It could be like, Two Broke Girls, any of those shows you love watching, definitely just start change that English subtitles, change it to Spanish, and possibly like maybe put the English subtitles to begin with, then put the Spanish subtitles, but naturally you'll find out, because I would say, in my opinion, honestly, my Spanish level is probably just around like 50%, 50%. I can probably listen and understand more than I can actually speak, but I'm way more. I'm in such a better position now that I don't have to use like Google Translator all the time, especially when I first came here. So it does really help. Like I can now go to the mercado, the supermercado. I could go to the the tiendas. I can journey around like Mexico, and now I'm even confident to journey later on around Latin America with now I don't have too much of the Spanish in the language barrier, so definitely, if you are moving abroad, and definitely it's a place where English is not their native language, 100% invest in some classes, invest in some tutoring, invest in some lessons, man. It will definitely benefit you in the long run, so that would be definitely two. So I said first one was toxic, second one, definitely when you're moving abroad, to a foreign country, invest into some lessons, and then like definitely the third one. So I say third tip. Let me get a bit of coca. Awesome. And also, yeah, I just want to say thanks, for anyone who's like, tuning into this, I really appreciate this, definitely as well. Like, comment, subscribe, and definitely check out my other social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on the Twitter, so all the links will be down, so I would say definitely on the third tip, especially when you're coming into a foreign place like Mexico, know your fucking surroundings. Guys, and girls, I didn't forget you girls. Um, Definitely when I first came, so when I first came in Mexico, this was the 16th of March 2021, last year, it is a very thing of like you have to really know where you're going around, straight up. I'm gonna be honest, as much as I love Mexico, there are some places where there are malo hombres, there are bad hombres, who are just waiting to just kind of say, hey, gringo, bienvenido, come, they just want to like kind of like just pounce on you as a target, so you really have to know where your avenues you're walking into, maybe new places you're going to, and possibly it can even be the new people you've met, so like even from the third week when I first came into Mexico, I was meeting so many different people. I mean, as much Mexican people of course are here, there's a lot of like tourists, who come from the States and even Canada, so I was meeting like a whole variety of people. And one thing I do kind of I do look back, especially like in the position now, is when I came here, it was solo. I was alone. I didn't know no one, so I was at one point trying to kind of latch on to any person I met to kind of get a friend. You know what I mean? Because like although like I'm someone who it's like I always have a lot of work that I'm doing, I mean, even before doing this, I was teaching my English classes before, so it's like I'm someone who's on the constant hustle, but there are times when you still want to interact with people, especially when I first came here about like the week 4, week 5, I was trying to latch on to too much people. Where the problem with that is, especially when you come here by yourself, is number uno, rule number one is you gotta look out for yourself. You know what I mean? I'm the person who takes care of paying my bills, I'm paying my rent for my apartment, getting all my equipment, my GoPro camera, my ring light, all of this stuff, I had to get it myself. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to come here, especially when you're living here, my G's. You don't want to come here and start being like, well, I got this club, like, let's go out on this Friday. Yeah, let's go out, on this Sunday. Let's go chill out Chapultepec Park on Sunday. And it becomes a regular routine. The issue with that is the money's gonna go down, and especially when you're abroad and it's like you're gonna be making that dollar bill online, you do not want to be spending all those time just partying. Most of these lot just came for a vacation, but you're living here. So every time, from you got hearing this from the rich man first, the time is money. You know what I mean? Like I said, so you really got to invest yourself time wisely. So like this is really tip free, especially like your early times like coming here. You really got to invest your time wisely. I made the mistake even when when I first came to Mexico City. I went straight to Cancun, and it's like I chilled there. I wasn't cramming down on making videos. I wasn't cramming down on making shirts. Making like custom designs for my car, T-shirts, or branding. It's like I was in that vacation mode, and it wasn't until I came from Cancun and came back to Mexico City, I started to crack on. Whatever it is you got to do to make that dinero, my friend, my amigos, just do it. But it's like you just have to invest your time wisely. And it's funny enough as well, I was talking about the first, tip that I said about like, toxic people. There was one chica I met when I got to Cancun. So she was in Mexico City as when I got to Cancun. She was one of, I remember when I was with her, she reminded me so much of that 30-year-old guy who's still living at home, with his parents. It was a girl who was so used to that comfortability. When she came to Mexico, she came with her friends that she's known for 10, 20, maybe 70 years. Who gives a fuck? She was only 30, so how the hell did that happen? But what I'm saying, folks, is that she was comfort zone central. You know what I mean? Anytime she would walk around, like, that part of Mexico, she was with her friend. She would never ever embrace the Mexicans or embrace the culture here, because she was American. I think she, in her front mindset, she thought she was above. So she's going to come here with American compadres, American companions, and we're just going to have a fun time and enjoy here. Where I think the issue with that is, as I said, invest your time wisely, but definitely if you do have spare times, go out, have some fun in that. A girl like that is never going to really understand the knowledge that I've had living here, for a year now. And I came here by myself. I didn't know no one. I met my girlfriend here, like after a couple months and that, but I knew nada. So it was legit like starting from the foundation and ground one. If you come with that mindset, of like, okay, I'm gonna come here with my friends, and I'm gonna go to the mercado to my friends. I'm gonna go to the bodega with my friends. I'm gonna go to the playa, Zocalo Centro. If you do that kind of stuff, you will not last, because you will not have the intelligence or even the brain cells to think for yourselves. This is a place when you're in this part, decisions are más importante. Anytime when I'm here, when I'm making those like critical decisions, it goes with long thought. I will write down my goals that I need to accomplish for this month, or even like a long term goal. And I was like, I'll go from there. But that's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to, especially when you're living, you don't want to come in a group and it's like, yeah, we're gonna party, man, we're gonna get tequila, we're gonna get mezcal. I'm not really hanging out with the Mexicans, I'm just hanging out with my group that came from America, and that, because they will distract you. So for sure, so definitely, that's definitely number three. You definitely gotta invest your time wisely and know who to hang around with and the environment you're moving around. So cuatro, pregunta cuatro. So question four. You like my Spanish, cause so no, question four. What am I talking about, man? I think I need some coke. Wait. Yes, man. As I said, yeah. So as I said, like, if anyone has joined this, join the stream, as I said, and this, I'm just talking about, me being here, for a year in Mexico, and tips you can do if you are interested on like making that, risque journey, to move abroad, definitely, you'll get a lot. This will be very, very, good information. So for I'd say for as I said, like from like actually making money online. So before I came here, in 2021, I was doing YouTube, Facebook, which just got to 10,000. you know I was doing that, and I also was doing my fitness. So as I told, even for the ones, if you're the earlier stream, a lot of the trainers who were working in the gyms, they transferred to online. So they were doing like Zooms, and they were training, sometimes a group. So like I think, again, you got to think of like the room you're in and the space and the environment. So what classes could possibly do, especially with the equipment available. So most ones I did was like a hit class, which is a 30 minutes in test, where you would do, combination of exercises twice with like a little rest period, and do that again within 30 minutes. That's one of the things I was doing when I first came here. It's like I was just doing, fitness, just trying to build that up as I can. It wasn't until like my second, coming towards the third month, I started to teach English, online. So before I came into Mexico, As again, I'll shout out to like Ace Live and also SBK Lifestyle, big, YouTubers, and the most important thing is these lot are, brothers, such as me, they actually got a great interview where Ace Live, I think what he, Ace Live interviewed SBK, no, sorry, SBK interviewed Ace Live in Colombia, and they kind of talked what I'm talking about now. But I actually watched that video, like I think a couple of weeks before I came here, and I messaged actually both of them. I told them, I said, I'm about to come Mexico. I'm not coming here to vacation. I'm not coming here to just chill in the cenotes in Cancun. I am coming here to live here, and I'm ready to do whatever it motherfucking takes. That was my mindset. 100%. So when I spoke to them, they said said, amigo, one of the best ways you can do, even just to get yourself through the door, is to teach English. And it's just funny enough, English was always, like with like physical education, art and design, English was always my favorite subject. I was always someone who was reading books, reading comic books when I was younger, graphic novels, you name it. I was always like an avid reader, so me doing English was like second nature, but they said like definitely try to get that set up before. So even like a month or so before I came to Mexico, I'd already set up my English account. Got a good thing. All this stuff is very, importante. If you're saying, making sure you get a good picture. Like things. It's like the YouTube, standard. Getting like an effective YouTube thumbnail, making sure that you got a good description, your background history. It just doesn't have to be where you've taught English, but where you've taught, period. I think it helped a lot for me because I was already teaching people in a direct setting, even though it was fitness. I still had that, background of like I was teaching people. So it took about from a month before I came Mexico, where I applied on that English platform, to where I got here. That's when I finally got my first student, who, funny enough, I just had before, I'm doing this stream now. But when I came here, and this is one of the things, definitely, when it comes to making money online, I think, honestly, if I'm going to be real with you folks, I honestly think the ones who really go the distance on like really making money online and really branding themselves, and really becoming that's like uber successful, it's the guys who are really natural born hustlers. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I'm like one of those like rare breeds of like I was already hustling before YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all these kind of social media things became as big as it is today. So it's been really cool of like bringing in that hustle background of selling, possibly like selling like Dragon Ball Z pictures or selling games in like GameStop or CEX before bringing it down to the digital world. So if you've got that, you kind of will already have this kind of, and I'm going to talk about this even more. I'm going to elaborate about this. It's like really having that, you know, the hustle never stops. So even if I can't do this, I'll do this for now, like even when I was waiting, for that first student, I remember just waiting, praying, oh God, please give me a student, It's like, I'm thinking of like, when The Rock says, but my name's Bill, it doesn't matter. That's what happened to me, But I remember waiting. I was like, man, I cannot wait, until let's get this, first student. I was still doing like the classes, I was doing the fitness classes. I was still doing the YouTube. I actually appeared on one of my friends who I met in Mexico's podcast, So even before I started doing podcasts with my main guy, 50 Grand GQ Jamal, I was doing, I jumped on her podcast. So even then, I was thinking like, yeah, I could possibly do podcasting, then monetize this in the future. So what I'm saying in totality, especially of like making money online is there's so many different things you can make money online. There's websites like Fiverr, there's websites like Upwork, even recently I applied to do like voice acting, so it's just another one where they'll call you to read some lines, and they may use it for any particular video. And, that's just another form of income, so again, this will really only apply to the people who don't mind doing like any kind of jobs. Those people have been they've got so many gigs, so many jobs that they've done in the past that they can bring that into the digital world. Like they don't mind so much what they're doing, but they still have that like main goal to do. So it's very important, especially as I said, when you're making money on online. What I try to do is I just try to be everywhere. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm on YouTube now. I've recently got to 10,000 on my Facebook, so I now get monetization on that. It's like I have my secondary YouTube channel, which is called, I don't know if you can see it. I keep showing this card, folks, but I'm really proud of this card because see, it says Comeback Fitness. So I do some of my fitness, workouts and any kind of fitness, like breakdown tutorials on that. I have my TikTok. What else do I have? I got my other social media with that. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So if you can just find something you like doing, and most importantly you're good at, you can definitely translate that to making money online digitally. I think it's really just getting the step, you're getting that first step through the door. When I got my first English student, and it's funny, we were talking about this before I came on. I remember, so like, it wasn't so much I was nervous. I was like, man, this is something I've been waiting for when I first applied to this, and now it's actually happening. And it was like, I was like, yeah, this is actually cool because I'm now the boss of this. No one's telling me to take a fucking break. No one's telling me like, hey, Rich, come in early tomorrow. None of that. I'm in control. And you want to see, no, is when you really start making money online and you're the one who's in charge. You're the one who tells yourself like, okay, I got to put this amount of work in. I can take a break at this time. You really got to manage yourself. You become this kind of boss. Forget about how much money you're making, especially to begin with, and that whole way of just operating yourself and controlling yourself. You have enlisted yourself. You are now officially a boss. you know it's so great being someone who, I always bring that story, of the day I got fired from Skechers, to now where it's so chilled. I can do a class and just talk. For someone who has the gift of the gab, who loves talking, I could do that. And not only when I'm teaching them English, I'm also motivating them as well. I'm telling them, like, this is the shit like I went through, you know. And it's like it's that kind of relatability because they also went through shit as well. So it's your English teacher, but you're also similar, like where I was doing like the personal training is you're motivating them, you're encouraging them, you know, to keep on going for their goal. So as I said, for making money online is such a broad way to do. There's so much different things. I honestly say, at least for me, I just not try to rely on one thing. I mean, because I didn't mention it, before I actually had like a Daily Motion account. This is way back in 2010 when the Kardashians weren't a thing, and that account got taken down. It's like I was just posting like way videos that weren't copyrighted, I mean, the 50 guidelines. So that channel got taken off. And the worst thing of it, guys, I was getting paid from Daily Motion. This is like 2017, 2018. I was getting monetized. So it is bittersweet to have getting that taken down, and now I got getting paid on Facebook now. But like, if I wasn't just focusing on Daily Motion, I was focusing on YouTube, I was focusing on fitness, I was, I I used to sell like programs. I used to make like custom programs to sell it, to people. So if you are just an all-around hustler, I honestly don't think you will have any problem making money online. It will take some time. Do you understand? I think the biggest key with making online is patience. What I mean? Because like, especially for me, like doing YouTube and all these like video, contents and that, like I said, it's nice, like I'm at a stage now, but it legit is a one-man show. What I mean? I don't have no team, or anything. I would love one, down the line, but it's like you really gotta start off something like solo. Do you understand? And like I said, it's patience. It's like I said, you gotta be honest. Like, you can do like live streams, and sometimes you don't get the amount of people you want that. You may not get the amount of subscribers or the views, but if you have this kind of drive, and this is which really goes to the things of like going through like traumatic situations, such as I have, and I know there's other people which again I'm gonna be bringing onto the channel and my other platforms, and like so you lot can see what people had to go through to get to their point now, and like why giving up is not a motherfucking option. You will get to the other side, but it's like you have to go through the dark times. They call it like the hills and the valleys. You gotta go through that to get onto the other side. So definitely for making money online, man, you gotta have patience, you gotta be a hustler, and you just have to keep on going. You know what I mean? Like, especially for me, man, like there's been times I've been teaching my English class, I've been teaching people as far as like, even where this is going right now, like in Kiev, been teaching people there. I've been teaching people in Asia. So the time difference. Me being on this side of the world, going towards the Eastern time. So there's been times I've been waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, and then like going to edit like a YouTube video. Do you understand? And then I could be like on Photoshop making my custom design for a new T-shirt, just the brand. So I do believe if you're driven and you're dedicated, you will do what's necessary, to make it over. But it just if I really get real on this, man, because I watched the video Steph is cold, shout out to Steph is cold. I think he's gonna get to 400K soon. He's someone I was always looking at as motivation. I mean, when he kept on saying how much jobs he got fired, I was like, I can relate to this dude. Not everyone's gonna be a hustler. Do you know what I mean? It's the same way not everyone's gonna work in a bank. You know what I mean? It's like there are certain individuals who have gone through the pain, who have gone through the trauma, who have been told they're not good enough, who have been heartbroken, who have just been like seen as like you are not gonna be nothing, who have been told to their face, you look, you rich, you are not gonna amount to anything. Most of them like will find a way to make it to the end. Legit. I know this sounds like very like preachy and that, but it's just the truth. Do you know what I mean? Like there's some people, as I say, Skechers. When I got fired from there, that always hurt me at that time because I didn't have to be there. I was already working in gyms before that, but I went in there for a bad motive. I went there just to get quick cash. So, I was trying to go Florida at that time. And I was like, I could just go Skechers, get this quick money. I could use that. But I wasn't thinking the long term. Like, how are you going to like Skechers? Do you even want to put this on your fucking resume or CV? You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking of the long term. I was thinking of the quick cash. And it went down to my demise because they could see from my body language and expression, I did not want to be there. I wasn't learning like I'm learning here, learning Spanish, learning the environment, meeting new people. I wasn't doing nothing. Just coming in, clocking in at 9, and then clocking in, what was it, 8 hours after. Killing myself on the shop floor there. You know? Job after job. I was doing that shit, from retail to fucking warehouses to construction to all those shit for a decade. So I'm in a position now I can draw back because I remember the times where even if I wanted to go see like, shout out like to this new Batman film, I thought Robert Pattinson did a fantastic job. I still got the popcorn, that I got from there. But I'm saying like I remember the times where this like new movie would come out and I wasn't able to even see it because like I was working harder but not working smarter. I invested so much time of working these fucking minimum wage jobs for chicken pay peanuts, and I was missing times to really enjoy, to socialize, to have like a proper girl. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I just wasted, I missed so many key points, especially like in my 20s, which is like, it's so surprising now me being on this side. But what I'm saying is I can, especially for me, and I know there's others, I can draw back from those times, where I was homeless, for instance, where I got heartbroken, when yeah, when I got, fucking cheated on, just getting like, insulted, because you like, comics, if you like a particular taste, of like films or music, I remember those times. So at least for me, it's like I use that as motivation. When I gotta wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, to teach this English class, I use that. I even before I'm like, yeah, bro, let's go do this. Another one, when I was even in when I got into Mexico, first days of just like, maneuvering about, okay, planning phase. I was like, no, I can use of the times where I was in these shit jobs or just around these toxic people, I can use it to be like, no, no, no. I can see the light, I can see the light. We can use this to get forward, So, I know I rambled a bit about that, but making money online is pretty much like making money, outside. If you're a hustler, and most importantly, if you have gone through the trenches, if you've gone through the hard times won't really last. If you've got the mentality, you will find a way to do that. Do you understand? So that's just it's just the truth. You know what I mean? I feel like every successful person, whether it be like, Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, even these YouTubers, Steph is Cold, Kevin Samuels, for instance. There was a time, bro. It's funny with the explosion of Kevin Samuels, man. He is a perfect example of, if you really just keep at it and you kind of find your formula, you can make it. And this is what I'm gonna lastly on. So so I talked about it. I said definitely, if we do like a roundup before I talk about this, I talked about definitely get away from toxic people. You know what I mean? That's probably the first. Before you embark on anything, see who your friends are, see who your close families are, and if you see that your goal is big enough that they can't even fathom it, you gotta get away from them quick and fast. That's definitely number one, for sure. Number two, for sure, as I said, definitely you got to know your environments. You got to know your environments. You got to know, when you're coming here, who you need to be around, and also even as well, like invest in your time. Do you understand? Invest in your time, making sure that, okay, I'm here now. I'm not partying all the time. I'm using my time wisely to practice. As I said, if it's Spain, if it's you're gonna go to like possibly a French speaking country, a German or Portuguese, I'm gonna use that time to invest in yourself, because that's what it really is. You know what I mean? If you want to improve your language, that is ultimately investing in yourself. So you got to do that. You got to invest in yourself. Make sure who you are surrounding yourself with. And as I said, definitely, man, if you want to make money online, man. Look, I used English, but again, English is not for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like some people, I think my English is pretty darn good. If I like, pat myself in the back, but some people English may not be the best thing that they feel comfortable teaching, So you could just be like a motivational coach. You could be a life like coach, just talk about like where you are at in life and what do you need to do to improve. And you could probably engage in them, or you could possibly teach a language that you feel better in it, whether it be your second language. So definitely, that's the roundup. So, like, why I will end it with this, because I know I gotta do a podcast later with my guy GQ Jamal. Shout out with him. Retro Brothers is on Spotify now. We are on episode 8. So new episode comes out every week, which is a Central Time. That's 8 a.m. in the morning. So anything you wanna, any information you wanna go that, just go on my YouTube channel. There's links all into linking onto the Retro Brothers. So what I love with the Kevin Samuels, like, phenomenon, I talked about this when I blew up, is he was on YouTube for a time. As Kevin Samuels is in his 50s. There are these YouTubers, like I said, like a Logan Paul, Connor Murphy. There's that sector of YouTube where it's like, in my opinion, some of the stuff is not meaning. I mean, it doesn't really. Maybe you look back when you're like at my age, or like, even like Kevin Savage, you'd be like, why did I do that? I may have got the money, but you may not be proud of it. But there's that kind of shock value in YouTube, and even on like creating on like platforms like TikTok, that they get a lot of views, they get a lot of monies, but then things just end, like it cuts off, like they can't go further. If you don't believe me, best example, just check Connor Murphy's, crazy ass with Kevin Samuels, why he's one of the best ones who's possibly ever done this. If you really watch the way he's thinking, he has the best strategy. The guy who I watch as well is Mediocre Tutorials, MTR. He talked about this. It was like, I think he called it preparation meets opportunity. When the opportunity came for Kevin Samuels to blow up, he was ready. He knew how he was going to conduct these, like, segments, these kind of interviews that he does with the woman, and he kept the same tone. You know what I mean? You saw his earlier videos, where it's like, he was like, at one point it wasn't too engaging, but there was something there, and he just kept on building in it. He got a better microphone, got a better camera, maybe got a better ring light, better studio, so over time he kept on investing. He didn't quit, he didn't give up, but he just stayed the storm because he knew what he wanted to achieve, And you talk about that guy from there to now he's in interviews on, like, Vlad TV, Joe Bunder's podcast. He's interviewing Nicki Minaj, Future, Brittany Rayner. You can make it today if you don't think that fast goal of, like, yeah, I'm on TikTok or YouTube first year, I gotta get 1 million subscribers. You know what I mean? I gotta get like 20 million views or it's a failure. Nah, you have to think of it as a long term, just the way as the life is. The roommates say this, life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. If you think of that fast life, and why I say this, because I used to date. I used to date girls like this before. You know what I mean? It was just a fast life. If they wanted the straight, like, materialistic items, but they weren't thinking of a long term, like, a sustainable business. Where they don't have to work on no one. They just wanted to spend their cash on Friday and then go back to the stupid bullshit job on Monday. How long can that last for? Before you get tired. So, like, he's a very good example of the way to do not only just making videos on, like, YouTube, TikTok, or whatever, how to build your brand and sustain it. If YouTube went off today, Kevin Samuels still has enough drawing power that mainstream celebrities know him. That's just keeping it real, because he flew outside of the bubble, just making some of these, like, videos. He was like, I can now keep these videos, and it's like it can stand the test of time. So that's definitely what, because I think that definitely works with definitely making money online. You have to think of a video that I can watch now, then even like 5 years or 10 years on the 10 years down the line, people can still go back and watch it and just recognize the brilliance and excellence, just as Kevin Samuels has done. you know so that's definitely what I definitely think of, like, just the whole, like, creating content, and of course you got to be you. Like, one thing I am proud, fuck the subscribers, fuck the views. I'm just glad that I did improve myself, because I do sometimes go back and look at my early videos. I did improve, but I never really changed so much, like, how, I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about, like, like Greenpeace, or, like, the way that environments and that. I mean, I stuck to what I love doing. I love talking about media, TV. I love talking about, like, travel. So I stuck to that. So yeah. So folks, yeah, thank for everyone who stuck onto the stream. I mean, this was just one thing I wanted to talk about. As I said, like, definitely check me out on social media. As of now, I'm not going to be posting too much on YouTube, because I'm getting more, like, on Facebook. So if you do want to see, like, any new content, definitely check me out on there. This YouTube will be up, but I will be focusing on my other platforms, as I'm doing a lot for now. So yes, appreciate anyone who watched this stream. All my social media links will be down below. And yes, thank you so much, for, like, any, ones who have followed me and subscribed, really appreciate it. And as I said, it is really, you can make the best life, but it's up to you at the end of the day. You got to be in control. So it took me like until my 30s to finally understand that. So definitely do that. Do what you can do. The time is short. Let's go and get that dinero. So take care, folks, and definitely remember to update your wallet.